Breaking news, the Biden administration taking a series of actions to target what they allege are attempts by Russian-backed actors to manipulate public opinion here in the U.S. ahead of the presidential election.
This story, Russiagate 0.20, covers a variety of complex ideas. We're going to be starting with, well, how can the mainstream media be carrying once again the idea that Russia are interfering in elections? And does that seem plausible?
This guy 100% bought. 1 trillion. Is he even in the United States right now? This guy 1 quadrillion % Russian paid. Absolutely.
To you when Putin has already declared that his personal
Get prepped with ivermectin and life-saving meds at the wellness company. Code BRAND saves $30 plus free shipping.
Preference would be a Kamala Harris presidency. And what's happening with the leaked DOJ investigation into independent content?
It wasn't leaked. He's copying Tim Pool's tweet there. It was an unsealed indictment.
A Kamala Harris presidency. And what's happening with the leaked DOJ investigation into independent content creators? And we're going to touch upon Stephen Crowder, Rumble creators' investigation into the DOJ. We're going to have to work out what is it that this version of Russiagate is about. Okay, guys, let's get into it. First of all, maybe we should start off with let's have a look at the mainstream media reporting on the subject, pushing the idea that it is indeed Russiagate 0.20.
Breaking news, the Biden administration taking a series of actions to target what they allege are attempts by Russian-backed actors to manipulate public opinion here in the U.S.
I really don't think I don't think we should use that language. I don't think that's appropriate. This administration, you should say like Garland's DOJ. I think is a little bit more appropriate.
Ahead of the presidential election, according to 2 senior U.S. officials. Joining us now is NBC's Ken Delanian. Ken, what more have we learned?
Jose, this is being described by our sources as a whole-of-government action designed to target Russian propaganda and disinformation aimed at interfering in the 2024 election. It is said to include sanctions by the Treasury Department, law enforcement action by the Justice Department, and one of the focuses is on RT, formerly known as Russia Today, that network of Russian government-funded English-language websites and television platforms that was flagged all the way back in 2017 by the U.S. intelligence community as a vehicle for Russian disinformation and election interference. And at that time, the Justice Department required RT to register as a foreign agent. It remains to be seen exactly what actions.
They're saying administration to frame it like a fight and a witch hunt. This is MSNBC. I don't think they're doing it to be biased. They're probably just used to saying that. It's not an incorrect statement. It's just people today don't know how any part of the government works. So when you say like Biden administration or Trump administration, the idea is that the president himself is like directing investigating. That's what it sounds like. That's what an ordinary American hears.
The U.S. will take against RT today, but this does appear to represent an escalation in the efforts to try to purge the system of Russian propaganda and disinformation. What's interesting is that, look, the U.S. has been saying all along that not only Russia, but Iran and China, but particularly Russia, has been consistently trying to manipulate American public opinion with disinformation on social media platforms, use of fake accounts, and through RT, through its state-sponsored platforms, as they did in 2016. The difference now is that there are mechanisms in place, particularly on social media platforms, to try to stop and flag fake accounts before the influence operations spread too widely. So it remains to be seen what impact this Russian disinformation is having. But nonetheless, this is a stance by the Biden administration to say, if you're violating U.S. laws and policies, we're going to come after you. And Attorney General Merrick Garland is expected to chair a meeting of the government's election task force this afternoon, with FBI Director Chris Wray and other officials. And he may have public comments to make about this effort at that time.
Like the first time they did that, Russiagate, it seemed like an inability to address the lack of their government's actual popularity, a disinterest, or in fact uninterested electorate turning away from the kind of mainstream politics that had consistently failed to deliver the type of results that the electorate feel that they deserve.
I guess another thing that makes it make more sense if these guys are just bought and paid for stooges, it makes sense why they don't do any research, why they don't ever offer any new facts, or why they don't ever have any new information, right? It's always the exact same copy-pasted talking points every single time. Like they've gotten marching orders from like a queen bee. It's always the exact same shit. Never anything new, never anything with any substance. It's always just the same boring old fucking talking points. This is a 1 hour old video with the exact same fucking talking points as you're always going to hear. All of Russiagate was fake. The Democrats did it because they were trying to win. They were desperate. It's the deep state fighting against Donald Trump. There's not going to be a single new fact proffered in this entire video.
And in fact, you could argue that they do deserve this version of it. Don't you think that this is sort of an attempt to create absolute bewilderment? Don't you think that what we're living in now is a time of such sort of delirium that, like, do you think that Russian misinformation could genuinely impact the outcome of the 2024 election?
Like this, they must be in a group. They must be in a group. Wait, why have I heard this one over and over again? How many people have we heard say this line so many times? It's just a few people. It's not even that many people involved. I feel like we watched 2 other content creators use this exact same really weird talking point. Oh, Glenn Greenwald did it.
What we're living in now is a time of such sort of delirium that, like, do you think that Russian misinformation could genuinely impact the outcome?
Oh, Jesse Waters might have. Why? It's always these same boring talking points. Like,
of the 2024 election.
And it doesn't even make sense. This is one of the closest elections in the history. Like, the last election was insanely close. Why would you assume that anything couldn't, actually impact, the outcome of the election?
It's so much bloody information to consume. Let me firstly get into this. Morning Joe certainly aren't happy with the idea that we could potentially be dealing with Putin supporting Kamala Harris, that they consider it to be trolling.
It's been long since I've called any leaders of Europe or the US. We're not against any type of context. We're not limiting them. Yes, sometimes we exchange some kind of information using different channels. First of all, through the foreign ministry. It's not for us to determine. These are elections of the US people. I said that if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he's not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris, so that is what we are going to do.
Yeah, that is some Olympic-level trolling.
Would they do that, though? Would they troll their own population on Russian media? So they would
execute. We need to execute a better way to do our media strategy. Okay, guys, we got to think about a better way to communicate with people sometimes. Unrelated to this, this is 1 trillion%. This is like, it's just Russian propaganda, right? It's just an unbelievable statement. Like, excuse me, sir, are you saying that Russia would lie to its own citizens?
Olympic-level trolling.
Would they do that, though? Would they troll their own population on Russian media? So he would assume that would get picked up in the US and would play well. I don't understand how many levels to this game there are. Let's have a look at other legacy media outlets dealing with the inconvenient news that Putin would prefer Kamala. And if they would prefer Kamala Harris, why would they be trying to manipulate and influence the election in favor of Trump? Well, at what point how many levels to this simulacrum is there?
President Putin said this morning that President Biden was his first choice for a second term, but that now he'd like Vice President Harris to become the next American president. Her laugh is so expressive and infectious, Putin said at an economic conference. But is the former spy telling the truth? U.S. intelligence agencies believe Putin prefers Donald Trump over Harris, seeing him as less likely to continue supporting Ukraine. And Washington believes Putin is already trying to influence the election. On Wednesday, the State Department said it would designate 5 Russian state-funded news organizations, including...
People were laughing. I haven't even watched his original statements.
Vladimir Putin weighs in on the upcoming U.S. presidential election, saying he would support Democrat Kamala Harris in November.
It was a very odd statement, appearing to be a joke he made during the Eastern Economic Forum.
At the event, Putin suggested he would take President Joe Biden's advice about urging all allies to support Harris. Some audience members laughed at the comments, including the session moderator. Putin also commented on Trump, saying he had imposed more sanctions on Russia than any other president, adding he hoped Harris will refrain from doing the same.
Where is the Tulsi Gabbard, so she's preparing Trump to debate Harris? Ugh. I'm curious what this full speech is. Putin, speech, economic, forum, endorse, Harris.
And in November, when we know the results of this race, are you going to call the new president to congratulate the new president? Well, it's been long since I've called any leaders of Europe or the US, but we're not against any type of context. We're not limiting them. Yes, sometimes we exchange some kind of information using different channels. First of all, through the foreign ministry. It's not for us to determine. These are elections of the U.S. people. I said that if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should. That is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing. Her laugh is so fascinating. It means that everything is good, and if everything is good, it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. So in the end, And if everything is good with Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if every
Wait, did the translation from the other news thing say the exact opposite? I thought in the other news thing they said that the sanctions came from Trump. Which translation is better?
Russian President
Am I making this up? Hold on.
suggested he would take President Joe Biden's advice about urging all allies to support Harris. Some audience members laughed at that, imposed more, including the session moderator. Putin also commented on Trump, saying he had imposed more sanctions on Russia than any other president, adding he hoped Harris will refrain from doing the same.
Oh, so she was just reading something, but that whatever she just said here is the opposite. That's not right, correct? That's kind of a weird mistake to make, but unless I'm misunderstanding something, but
and if everything is good,
maybe she's referring to a different part of the speech, maybe?
it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. So in the end, it will be the choice of the U.S. people, and we will respect this choice.
Maybe the American reporter was saying that Trump was saying he imposed the most sanctions?
Speaking about the U.S., in August, there was the exchange of prisoners between the U.S. and Russia. What countries were the mediators contributed to that?
Okay, I don't know if that's how I heard that, but okay. Wait, hold on.
It's appearing to be a joke he made during the Eastern Economic Forum.
At the event, Putin suggested he would take President Joe Biden's advice about urging all allies to support Harris. Some audience members laughed at the comments, including the session moderator. Putin also commented on Trump, saying he had imposed more sanctions on Russia than any other president.
Oh, I understand. Never mind. He commented on Trump saying, rather than he commented on Trump, comma, saying that he had imposed more. Oh, I understand. Holy fuck. Why? This is it's so ambiguously stated. Okay, I understand.
Economic Forum.
At the event, Putin suggested he would take President Joe Biden's advice about urging all allies to support Harris. Some audience members laughed at the comments, including the session moderator. Putin also commented on Trump, saying he had imposed more sanctions on Russia than any other president, adding he hoped Harris will refrain from doing the same.
Trump saying? Did Trump say that? And he hoped? Oh, yeah, maybe. So he might have said that here. Okay, never mind. Jesus. Okay. What a sentence. All right, back to our good friend.
RT, formerly known as Russia Today, Ruptly, and Sputnik as foreign government missions and limit visa.
What she was saying was something like this. Commented on Trump saying that he likes hot dogs. It's like saying like this, okay? Like, John commented on Trump saying he likes hot dogs versus John commented on Trump saying he likes hot dogs. Like, these sentences mean different things. John commented on Trump saying that he likes hot dogs. In this one, John is commenting on Trump and he's saying that Trump likes hot dogs. But in this sentence, we're saying John commented on Trump, comma, or no, wait, I mixed that up. Holy fuck. The second sentence is John commented on Trump, comma, saying that he likes hot dogs. So John is commenting on Trump and he's saying that Trump likes hot dogs. But in the first one, John commented on Trump himself saying that he likes hot dogs. These are they're two different sentences. It's just autistic. Okay, Jesus.
Visas for their employees. The Justice and Treasury Departments are acting as well.
Okay, but which translation is good? I don't know at this point, but we listened to the original, so who cares?
Indicting 2 RT employees accused of funding an American right-wing media company to carry out the Kremlin's influence campaign.
The Justice Department's message is clear. We have no tolerance.
Hi, what's up?
For attempts by authoritarian regimes.
Wait, hello?
To exploit our democratic system of government.
A spokesman for RT told NBC News the group had several responses, including ha 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 and 2016 called and wants its cliches back.
Asked who could potentially mediate a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, President Putin said he is open to negotiations and that China, Brazil, or India could serve as a mediator. Hoda.
All right, Richard Engel for us there in Ukraine. Richard, thank you.
It's getting deep, guys. We can't continue to bring you this beautiful content without the support of our partners. America, listen up. First, a massive COVID-19. What will they do next? Agree? Were you prepared for the... Are we going to count on Z-Pack to the door? Budesonide. Get the contagion emergency kit from the wellness company. It's packed with ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine.
They've got all they still believe in this shit. The hydroxychloroquine and the ivermectin. Oh my God. Hi, what's up? Your mic is super ultra fucked right now. I don't know if you're underwater or...
What the fuck?
Z-Pack, Tamiflu, and budesonide, and a nebulizer. The treatments they apparently didn't want you to have. A few clicks, and this kit will be at your door.
Oh. Hello, hello.
Headphones are fucking up. Can you hear me now without them?
Yep. Hey, what's up?
I just wanted to quickly say that there seems like there have been a change in orders. It's very funny because for 2 days now, on Russian media, see them started talking that they actually prefer Kamala.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the huge gaslighting of like Russian population and everyone, which they always do. It's nothing new. Like, you confuse the fuck out of people is, the strategy. But they have been for a whole year, maybe even more, talking about how much they prefer Trump. Skabeva said so, Solovyov, like all Simonyan, all the biggest like talking heads from Kremlin. Putin himself said so. Lavrov, ministers, all people were like, yeah, we prefer Trump this, Trump that. So they were like mocking the fuck out of like Kamala, saying she will never win and things like that. And now, like, just 2 days, they have been saying that they actually prefer Biden and they prefer Kamala now, which is very interesting. And all the talking heads in the West now repeat that. Exactly, like a couple of days ago it happened.
Yeah,
and
it might be maybe because Russia is more negatively coded now. Maybe they want to associate it with the Democrats. Who knows? Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it's like mostly it's just Jacob, they want to distance.
Sorry.
Yeah, can
say
you
that
hear?
again? Yep, my bad. Go ahead.
I think they actually, like, from what I've seen, that's just my opinion, obviously, but from what I've seen, they seem to want to distance themselves from the fact that they are supporting and propelling Trump.
Yeah, possibly, maybe, yeah.
And there's a lot of, like, conversation about that, in particular on Russian TV, that we are not influencing America, like it's their choice, their people, they decide, we respect their choice, we don't have any preference towards candidates. If we had the preference, it's actually Biden this whole time.
Sure.
So
although I don't know if Russia would ever like, fuck me. I don't know if Russia would ever like openly say that we're influencing an election. Don't they always deny any kind of like influence or penetration or whatever, right?
They do, but they also simultaneously say that they propel Trump sometimes, but only on Russian TV, in Russian. So never in English, never in the West, towards the Western audience. But to me, it seems like an attempt to appeal to Western right-wingers that they are not actually preferring Trump. So now all of those like conservative people can now say, you see, they say they actually support Kamala. You will see this like 100 times from this day.
Yeah, of course.
Like they will say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. From before it wasn't, before it didn't matter, and now it's going to be really important. Yeah.
Yeah, they will always point to this particular bit with Putin, which, by the way, was horribly translated. I don't have time to exactly, translate what the fuck. But yeah, it's just he also made very interesting moves there. I don't know if you noticed, but he was like making I don't know, like it's like a double thing. He like talks about her laughing, which he knows all conservatives hate and mock.
So, yeah, the talking point, yeah.
Yeah, so he kind of like points it out as if he kind of likes it, but it's, everyone understands that it's not true. It's this double trouble shit. But anyhow, yeah, that's just some interesting. It only really happened like these days, like a day or two at best.
Sure.
So I'm like, just showing that off. And interesting turn of events, in my opinion, like the main priority is to distance themselves from this idea that they actually are supporting all the people who support Trump. So they support the commentators, media people, United States, they pay them or they just propel their content about all of them, literally all of them, are in support of either Trump or the destruction people. So like Stein, people like that, also pro-Kremlin people, or, or maybe RFK. So it's at least not Democrats, something that is not Democrats, but something else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's it pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyhow, I think you will see this shit endlessly from now on. So I feel bad for you because people will pull this. He said that he prefers Kamala like for the end of until the election happen. You will hear that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The orders have been given. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be the new talking point going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah.
Be careful.
The legacy media, of course, are claiming that numerous independent media content creators have accepted money from a Russian carve-out. The same way I suppose that CIA carve-outs often generate media in Ukraine. I know this because it's sort of happened to me.
Yep, the U.S. does it everywhere else, especially Ukraine and Russia, for sure, 100%.
They're claiming that Benny Johnson and Tim Pool and Dave Rubin and others have accepted money from a Russian carve-out. Now, I know that all of them deny that. And let's have a look at the legacy media's reporting on it. And this image, you can't, I mean, now that is Dave Rubin and that is dear Benny Johnson. But that fella in the middle, that's just a guy with a hat on. Do your research, Guardian. You can't get away with that. Tim Pool would not wear an oatmeal-coloured hat, would he? That's offensive misgendering of Tim Pool taking place there at The Guardian. Okay, let's have a look at Megyn Kelly explaining this extraordinary story.
So here's the deal. The DOJ is alleging that these two Russians who worked for RT, I mean, that does matter, but it's really the fact that they're in Russia and they're Russian and they're pushing Russian interests. What they did was they called their friend Lauren Chen. Now, she is a Canadian citizen who's living and working in America, I believe living here too, but definitely working in America for, among others, The Blaze. And she's a relatively well-known conservative personality online. I will say she's a troll. I unfollowed her a while ago because it was obvious this is not a person worth listening to on X. So they contacted Lauren Chen because, unbeknownst to me, she had worked for RT for a year as a commentator.
Hold on, fuck.
Relatively well-known conservative personality online. I will say she's a troll. Interests. What they did was they called their friend Lauren Chen. Now
Lauren Chen is a troll? Okay. How are Megan's views? Is she doing well? I don't remember. Wasn't she a Fox News person and Trump went off on her? Megyn Kelly. Am I making that up? She was Fox News, right? Or am I? Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know what she does. No, I have no idea.
Is a Canadian citizen who's living and working in America, I believe living here too, but definitely working in America for, among others, The Blaze. And she's a relatively well-known conservative personality online. I will say she's a troll. I unfollowed her a while ago because it was obvious this is not a person worth listening to on X. So they contacted Lauren Chen because, unbeknownst to me, she had worked for RT for a year as a commentator, apparently on the air, but at least writing articles for them. So openly affiliating with this channel. Now, it's not that RT, it's definitely state-run media. It is with Russia. I mean, good luck finding them doing anything critical of Vladimir Putin.
Why did she say it's definitely, yes, that's there, but they openly say that. They openly say that. It's not like obviously we all know. Yeah, it's not like an obviously, it's just a stated thing. This isn't it's not even an open secret. It's RT is state-funded and state-directed media. I don't think they've ever said anything different. I'm pretty sure they're just open about that. No?
Yeah, it's definitely state-run media. It is with Russia. I mean, good luck finding them doing anything critical of Vladimir Putin. Trust me. They try to get more and more influence in the United States. They've had people reach out to me many times to try to get me to do something. It's a no. Okay, they know that by this point. But in this case, they did reach out to Lauren, according to this indictment, and said, help us form a new independent media company and help us find influencers who will work for it. And according to the indictment, she did. She and her husband both did that and recruited guys like Dave and Tim Pool and Benny and 3 others I never heard of. And she, according to the indictment, knew that the Russians would be funding this and editing content. But the influencers, the conservative podcasters, did not. And that's according to the indictment. That's why none of them has been indicted. The feds are saying Rubin, Pool, Benny, they didn't know. They were not told. In fact, they were given misinformation by Lauren because they allege she knew they would never do this if they understood it was being funded by the Russians. She told them that it was all being funded by some French businessman.
Wait. I remember there was something in the indictment about that. Did she say that about this in particular? Let me check. There was a statement like that. I'm trying to remember what it was about in particular. To create content for RT pursuant to Founder 1's written contract, Founder 1 over Founder 2, with 2 individual producers who later joined the company. RT invited Lauren Chen to appear on RT television programming, created a dedicated page on RT's website identifying Lauren Chen as a contributor, featuring her articles, and provided an official letter on RT designating and private correspondence. However, between Lauren and her husband, they recognized that truthfully disclosing their affiliation with RT made it more difficult for them to do business in the U.S. For example, in July of 2021, in a July 2021 email inviting a contact to apply for a job with RT, Lauren wrote that RT's budget is going to be larger, but acknowledged, I know being Russian, some folks in the U.S. aren't too hot on them, LOL. In another example, in a private exchange, when I was asking people if they wanted to interview, many said yes until it was RT, so I switched to them to just say I was working for Lauren Chen. I replied, not surprised. Okay. I don't think they ever say in here, oh, these guys would never. I don't think they say that, but I'm just triple checking. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's true. Just making sure.
Told. In fact, they were given misinformation by Lauren because they allege she knew they would never do this if they understood it was being funded by the Russians. She told them that it was all being funded by some French businessman.
That part's not true.
Edward Grigorian. And the indictment alleges that both Tim and Dave, I don't know about the others, tried to kick the tires a bit, obviously not enough, on who this is. Who's Edward Grigorian? And they wanted to see like a profile of the guy. All that was forwarded was a LinkedIn, which appears obviously to have been fake. And then Dave Rubin is, according to the indictment, the guy who pushed more and said, like, this isn't enough. And then they created this whole fake profile.
Okay, she's just a total fucking liar, traitorous, uneducated dipshit, 85 IQ fucking moron. Never mind. She's bad faith as fuck. She either read this and is lying, or she's got staff that lies for her. Dave Rubin did not push back saying this isn't enough. Dave Rubin pushed back and he wanted clarification on what social justice meant. That was the part in this indictment. She's misrepresenting what his pushback was here. Lauren Chen transmitted the Edward Grigorian profile to Dave Rubin to persuade Dave Rubin to perform work on behalf of Edward Grigorian. On or about May 12, 2023, Lauren Chen reported to Persona 1, a Russian, that Dave Rubin had a problem with the profile we sent over, specifically the reference to social justice. I think it may be because that's usually a term used by liberals, but we're trying to create a conservative network. Lauren Chen suggested that Dave Rubin and Edward could simply speak together to clarify the profile. That was his pushback there. Not that it was sketchy or weird, but he didn't like the social justice thing that was there. She's lying about that, but...
Tried to kick the tires a bit, obviously not enough, on who this is. Who's Edward Grigorian? And they wanted to see like a profile of the guy. All that was forwarded was a LinkedIn, which appears obviously to have been fake. And then Dave Rubin is, according to the indictment, the guy who pushed more and said, like, this isn't enough. And then they created this whole fake profile of this guy, Edward Grigorian. That's like pretty fancy. I'm holding it up for the listening audience, and you can see, frankly, it looks a little obviously stock picture at the top of some vaguely attractive man looking out a window of a private jet. And then it's got all sorts of fawning descriptions about the guy. And Dave apparently did push back even after that, saying, I'm not sure about this guy. It says he's into social justice. Why is he looking for me? Anyway, there was some pushback.
Oh, so she does bring up that second part there, but she's phrasing it in a very friendly part to him. And I don't know where that other pushback is earlier, but okay.
But here's the bottom line. They were offering eye-popping sums to these influencers, and they took the deal.
Edward Grigorian, mystery man, looking out the window of a private jet. He cares about...
Wait, hold on. Let me double, triple, quadruple check. Was there pushback provided earlier? Maybe there was. Hold on. Are there any links? Okay. On or about February 1, or I'm sorry, Founder 1 emailed Persona 1 that Founder 1 has spoken to Commentator 1 a bit, who would like some material about Mr. Grigorian to learn a bit about who they would be working with. Okay. This is the part that she's probably referring to then. She's just referring to this in an incredibly charitable and favorable way. Like, this is him pushing for more information, like he doesn't trust it. And then this is him pushing for, I want to know why it says social justice, because I'm curious why he would work for me. We're stretching the boundaries of what can be true, but we could argue that these statements are true. They are just the most unfathomably charitable way of interpreting this, but it's an indictment that involves Republicans, so why not? But that's what she's referring to there.
They took the deal.
Edward Grigorian, mystery man, looking out the window of a private jet. He cares about social justice and he cares about you and me. Let me tell you, they didn't offer us any money. You'd have just watched 25 minutes of me telling you that Edward Grigorian's a great fella and we should just follow along with it. Then you just assume that all media is to some degree propaganda, and that isn't, in fact, the charm of independent media is that the biases are sort of somewhat evident and explicitly declared. I mean, on this show, I don't know what we would be capable of propagating. The whole thing's run on pure instinct, intuition, goodwill, faithfulness. So when you look at that, the story then, Russiagate is being rebooted. Now, I keep putting the decimal point in the wrong place, don't I? It's Russiagate 0.20. That's what it is, not 2.0. You're quite right about that. But we can't simply continue to believe that the only reason people would vote for Donald Trump or vote against Kamala Harris and the remnants of the establishment that she represents because of Putin's ingenuity and deception is plain that people are utterly disillusioned and on the precipice of despair with the institutions of democracy, the institutions of justice, the institutions of communication, primarily because they've all become so dreadfully corrupted. You can't have it that on one hand Putin is publicly endorsing Kamala Harris, then deceptively ensuring that people vote for Trump. I don't know how he thinks that he would benefit from a Kamala Harris.
Wait, what did he even say? You can't be publicly supporting one thing and then as part of a covert operation supporting the opposite. What is he even saying? Like, it's so on its face, it's so stupid.
So dreadfully corrupted. You can't have it that on one hand Putin is publicly endorsing Kamala Harris, then deceptively ensuring that people vote for Trump. I don't know how he thinks that he would benefit from a Kamala Harris presidency or a Trump presidency. It's pretty clear that the Democratic Party are more interested in continuing to fund Ukraine, for example. That would seem pretty likely. I can't pretend to begin to understand it, not for a second, except for saying that the world of media, espionage, surveillance and censorship seems to be governed increasingly by authoritarian forces that benefit from all of us being goggle-eyed and bedazzled and distracted from the things that are truly important. And you know what they are, don't you? Personally, I know most of those influencers, and I would say that none of them are going to actively promote Russian interests for money. It's not how it works. Like Dave Rubin, double patriotic. Benny Johnson is patriotic to an outrageous degree. Tim Pool seems like a deeply critical thinker, trying his best. If America votes for Donald Trump in November 2024, it's not going to be because of the will of Vladimir Putin. It's going to be because of the ineptitude and corruption of the government for the last 4 years and the general state of disillusionment, the fugue of despair induced by centrist politics that condemns ordinary Americans rather than representing them continually. But that's just what I think. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments and the chat?
Wow, good one.